Hiya babes, and welcome to this video walkthrough of the Chaos crossover page. I'm going to be kind of talking through it as opposed to showing, because then it's going to be in the reverse, and it's better for me to give you all my personal stories so that you can understand. That's what the goal is here. The goal is for you to dive into your personal stories where chaos seemed good, where it seemed bad, and where it was just like, shit happens. Totally neutral, karmic debts paid. Woof woof. So I'm going to actually start with the bad chaos, because I feel like it's going to help us introduce like the more typical classical attitude toward chaos energy and move into the good chaos, because my good chaos story is so weird without the backstory. So what I have written in my bottom bubble in the bad chaos part is quick succession of deaths and breakups, as well as the word herpes. So for a couple years of my life, for maybe during a 2-year span of time, my brother took his life. My aunt had cancer, and I went and lived with her for a month and took care of her, and she passed away a couple months later. A couple months after that, the 3-year relationship that I was in ended. And in the midst of all that, a lot of other crazy things were going on. And it all kind of led me to sleep with people in an attempt to find some kind of like emotional grounding through physical intimacy. And what I got was herpes. And for me, both of those things, like the collection of deaths that came through all of the not just like death of people, but death of relationships, all felt so horrific. Like, why is this happening? How am I supposed to get through this? What is the purpose? What is the meaning of all of this? And I think that's where chaos typically takes us, is it takes us to a place where we're like, where did that come from? And why? Like, why the fuck? Who the fuck? Who did this? Who made this happen? Whose weird grand scheme was it to cause me so much pain in such a compact period of time? And now I've gotten to the point, now I've moved through the grieving process of loss. I've moved through the denial, the anger, the sadness, the extreme denial in my case with herpes. I mean, I was just like, this will not destroy me, because I'm gonna pretend that it doesn't exist. That was kind of my reaction to it. All of those things that were horrible in the moment, now I get to look back on them, on the stories, and release the suffering that I might feel in the present moment if I held on to that pain, and turn that space. Like, by releasing things, we create new space. And in that void, what I manifested, what I attracted into my field was, everything happens for a reason. You've always believed this, Kellyanne. You've literally always believed that everything happens for a reason. And if it's not happening at you or to you, then it must be happening for you to move through it and come out on the other side loving yourself more than you ever thought you freaking could. And that's why, even though I put it in the bad chaos column, I don't really feel that way about it anymore. And I'm certain that there are other things that I will feel in the future are negative or bad or are like maybe out to get me. And I'm sure that you might have felt that way too, which is why it's such a useful tool to recognize that chaos is only as bad as you make it. Chaos is only as bad as you want to label it. And that brings me to the middle area, which is the crossover, the karmic neutral part. I put stubbing my toe immediately after making a questionable comment. Now that's something that I talk about in the workbook itself, but I felt it was worth reiterating because there really are just types of chaos where it comes into your life and you're like, whoa, how did that happen? Or you spill something that you've been waiting to have all day. Like you've been thinking about this meal that you want all day. And when you finally get off of work and you go and you pick it up from the to-go and you smell it in the car on your way home and you almost eat it on your way home and it gets home and it tips off the counter and it falls all the way onto the floor. There are just some kinds of chaos that are neutral, that they just happen because they're meant to remind us that we don't always get what we want, but we do get what we need. And in those moments that happens, I think about the karmic duty that I have to recognize where things went wrong, why I wasn't supposed to have that, why I wasn't aligned with it. If I wanted it so bad and I worked so hard to get it, but at the very last second, it got pulled from me. Why did I align with it in the first place? What was I trying to get from it? What was I trying to get out of, that tasty meal? And how can I transform my attitude toward the shit that happened into, that was something that happened for me. It probably had too much MSG in there. It probably had, I don't know, something similar like that. It probably had, I don't know, something in there that the universe was like, I'm saving you from this meal. You weren't supposed to have it, but you got it anyway. So I'm going to give you what you need. What you need is to avoid this thing. And the other version is, besides neutral chaos, is the karmic kind, where, like I said, you stub your toe immediately after you say something wrong. And it's like, when you know in your mind that you just said something that might have hurt somebody's feelings or somebody might have taken the wrong way, and then suddenly you cut your hand on something, it's like, aha, you knew. You already knew what the outcome would be. And you got your instant karma. The last one that I have in the good chaos is car accident for 4-wheel drive and backup camera. And that's a story of me having gotten to a place in my life where I started to embrace and embody chaos to such a high degree that I got into a car accident. I rear-ended somebody and totaled my car. It didn't look like it was totaled from the outside, but it was totaled. It leaked all the way home and it died when it got there. Dead-ass car. And the reason why I put it in the good chaos column is because of two things. One, I actually was thinking that maybe one day I would need a new car because I bought a travel trailer, a camper trailer that I've been renovating so that I can live in it. And I'm going to be traveling across the country, so I might need a 4-wheel drive. And of course, a backup camera is going to help me to hitch it on to my, hitch the trailer onto my car a lot easier. So I'm like, if that's what I got out of this, if that's what I got out of this minor rear ending where nobody got hurt and nothing really happened other than my car getting totaled and insurance paying for the other person's, damages and stuff, it actually wasn't that bad. But that's because I was fortunate enough to have the money to buy a new car for other people, that could have been much worse. The second reason why I put it in the good chaos column was not only because it was chaos that directed me to something that I wanted, that I was asking the universe for, but I didn't know how to get it. I wasn't ready to get it myself. The second reason was because in the moment, my attitude toward it was like, shit just happens. Things just happen. That happened, the rear ending, for whatever reason, even if I don't know it now, I do know that it is going to serve me. It's going to help me. It's going to guide me. It's going to shape me. It's going to render me. If I surrender to the fact that this bullshit happened, okay, you're allowed to call things bullshit and know that they exist for you and are not coming at you to attack you. For whatever reason that the bullshit happens, if you can be in the moment where you're like, okay, I don't know why yet, but I know that it's coming, that eventually the mystery of why this happened will unfold, and I'll be able to understand at some point. When you can get to that point where all the chaos that you experience is like that, even the big chaos, even the hard, that like the death and destruction kind of chaos, even that kind, you can get to a space in your life, in your internal harmony, where you recalibrate right in that moment, right in the moment. And that's what I hope that doing this activity will help you step into and open yourself up into, is anything that happens to me through chaos is directing me toward my highest good, toward my best good, toward my ideal self, toward the person that I am meant to be. And that way, as you move forward, as you move through the workbook, you can shift those beliefs and start to develop the kinds of behaviors, start to embody chaos for yourself, so that the behaviors that you habitually start to create from these new beliefs, that like, I don't have to be upset every time shit happens. I can reward myself with, we'll learn what this was all about eventually. You get to experience life on a totally different level. You get to do this all the time. You get to feel this way more often. And that is the goal here. To find that inner peace, to release the anxiety of whatever is going to come from it, and accept that the cycle of life, that the wheel is always going to keep turning. I love you so much. I hope that this has helped you, and I hope that you share your stories, your chaos stories, in the Google Classroom, and just comment on this post, like what came up for you. I would love to know. I would love for you to share, because no matter what it is you have to say, somebody is going to resonate with it. Somebody is going to need to hear what you have to say, need to read what you have to write. So do that. Love yourself. Continue on with this workbook. Let me know how you're doing. Give me updates. And just know that you are deserving of all the love you freaking desire. Mwah.